The fact that you're here, watching this right now, isn't random. You've just been handed something most people will search their entire lives for and never find. Not data, not another spiritual concept, not even ancient wisdom. What you've received is what the mystery schools guarded for millennia and what quantum scientists now call an access protocol to non-local consciousness. I'm calling it the quantum password. And your presence here, in this exact moment, means your field is calibrated to receive it. This isn't symbolic language. This isn't flowery mysticism. In quantum computing, access codes are literal configurations of information that unlock systems classical technology cannot reach. Your awareness operates on the same principle. There are layers of existence, dimensions of potential, frequencies of being that stay locked until the right configuration activates them. And that activation just happened for you. How can I be certain you received it? Because you're here. The quantum password doesn't travel through algorithms or accident. It moves through resonance. Your consciousness has arrived at a specific vibrational state, a frequency where reception becomes possible, where recognition can occur, where activation begins. If your field wasn't ready, this video wouldn't have appeared in your reality. You would have scrolled away, closed the browser, never encountered these words at all. Have you felt it? The way reality has been shifting around you lately? Like the rules aren't quite holding, like cause and effect are bending in ways they shouldn't, like you're knowing things before they happen, or understanding concepts you've never studied. That's not imagination. That's your awareness beginning to interface with quantum layers of existence. And what I'm about to show you will crystallize that access, making it deliberate, conscious, reliable. The ancient Egyptians concealed this in their initiatory rites as the utterance of power, a specific vibration that, when spoken with true understanding, would open portals to alternate dimensions. The Kabbalists knew it as the ineffable name, precise sound combinations that could reorganize the fabric of reality around the speaker. The Vedic masters taught it as sacred mantra, vibrational codes that synchronized consciousness with cosmic intelligence. Modern quantum mechanics describes it as entanglement and superposition, states where information transmits instantaneously across space and particles inhabit multiple locations until observation collapses them. If this is resonating with something deep inside you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you stay connected to this frequency. What if all of these, the utterance of power, the ineffable name, the sacred vibration, quantum entanglement, are describing the same mechanism? A specific alignment of consciousness that grants access to reality, layers hidden from ordinary perception. That's the quantum password. It's not a phrase you recite or words you memorize. It's a state of being you embody that makes the previously impossible suddenly, naturally available. Look at your life these past weeks, these past months. Have you been moving through intense shifts, radical transformations, experiences that feel like your previous reality is dissolving while something completely new emerges? That wasn't chaos. That was calibration. Your consciousness was being purified, tuned, upgraded to the exact frequency where the quantum password can operate. And that preparation has reached completion. The reason these words are landing in your system with such weight, such immediate recognition, such undeniable certainty, is because part of you already understands what's being revealed here. You've been waiting for this transmission, perhaps not consciously, but at the quantum level your field has been arranging synchronicities, organizing events, orchestrating circumstances to bring you to this precise moment where the password gets delivered and received. Your higher intelligence designed this meeting between your current awareness and this information. This is not coincidence. This is quantum architecture. You've been experiencing phenomena that you probably haven't shared with anyone because they sound too strange, too impossible. But what if every unusual experience you've had recently has been your consciousness practicing with the quantum password before you even consciously knew it existed? First, the sudden knowings. Complete information appearing in your mind fully formed. Entire understandings arriving without any process of learning or reasoning. You abruptly comprehend things you've never been taught. Grasp concepts you've never encountered. See solutions to challenges without analyzing them. This isn't fantasy. This is your consciousness beginning to access non-local information matrices. The quantum library, where all knowledge exists simultaneously in the eternal now. The quantum password functions like a decryption key. Without it, the information exists but remains inaccessible, like attempting to open a file format your system doesn't recognize. With it, knowledge flows directly into your awareness because your consciousness is now configured to receive it. Those sudden knowings you've been experiencing, they're confirmation that your system has been upgrading in preparation. Your consciousness has been rehearsing quantum access before you even understood what was occurring. Second, the reality shifts. Moments where existence seems to split, where you recall events differently than others remember them, where the future you were heading toward suddenly pivots in a new direction without clear external reason. You're not losing your mind. You're not creating false memories. You're experiencing what physicists call quantum decoherence. The instant when multiple potential timelines that existed in superposition collapse into one experienced reality. Most humans navigate life unconsciously collapsing timelines, never aware they're doing it, never recognizing they have any choice in which possibility becomes actual. But you're becoming conscious of this process. You're beginning to sense the moment of selection, the branching point, the instant where reality could move in multiple directions. The quantum password makes this navigation conscious and intentional. It's like suddenly realizing you've been given the controls when before you didn't even know the vehicle could be steered. Third, the synchronicities have intensified beyond explanation. You contemplate someone, and they immediately reach out. You need something, and it manifests through the most unlikely pathways. You wonder about information, and reality delivers it before you've finished forming the question. What used to happen occasionally is now happening constantly. These aren't random coincidences anymore. This is your consciousness learning to interface with the quantum field directly, and the field responding with increasing accuracy and immediacy. Dr. Carl Jung dedicated decades to studying synchronicity and concluded it wasn't random but meaningful coincidences connected not by causation, but by significance and resonance. What he couldn't fully articulate with the science available in his time is the mechanism. The quantum password is that mechanism. It's the consciousness alignment that transforms synchronicity from occasional to constant, from mysterious to natural, from magical to mechanical in the quantum sense. Fourth, you've been witnessing patterns proliferate everywhere. Sacred geometries appearing in unexpected places. Number sequences repeating with impossible frequency. 111, 333, 444, manifesting constantly. Symbols showing up across completely disconnected contexts. The same imagery appearing in your dreams, then in conversations, then on street signs, then in books you're reading. Your logical mind attempts to dismiss this as confirmation bias, as your brain perceiving what it expects to see. But something deeper recognizes truth. These patterns are real, significant, communicating essential information. You're right to trust that deeper recognition. These patterns are the language of the quantum field itself. Reality, at its fundamental level, organizes through specific geometric and numerical relationships. The golden ratio, the Fibonacci spiral, Platonic geometries, fractal iterations. Most people cannot perceive them because their consciousness operates at frequencies where these patterns remain invisible, filtered out by perceptual defaults. But as you've been preparing to receive the quantum password, your perception has been upgrading to frequencies where reality's underlying architecture becomes visible. Then, there are the physical sensations that have no medical explanation. Energy currents moving through your body in specific channels that feel like invisible rivers of electricity. Pressure at your third eye that feels like something opening from within. Vibrations in your chest that pulse with their own intelligence, their own rhythm separate from your heartbeat. Tingling in your palms like they're becoming sensitive to invisible energies, to fields that you couldn't detect before. These aren't symptoms of malfunction. These are activations of correct function. The quantum password doesn't operate only mentally or spiritually. It requires your entire system, your nervous system, your energy body, your cellular structure, to upgrade its capacity to hold and process higher frequency information. What you're experiencing is your biological system reconfiguring itself to become a more efficient interface between consciousness and quantum reality. Your physical form is upgrading its hardware to run the new operating system. And finally, you've had the knowing. That deep, unshakable certainty that something significant is approaching, that you're standing at the edge of something profound, that reality is about to shift in ways you cannot predict, but absolutely can feel. This knowing doesn't originate from your analytical mind attempting to figure things out. It doesn't come from your emotions hoping for something better. It comes from your quantum field detecting the imminent arrival of the password, like a receiver detecting the signal before the transmission completes, like sensing the seismic shift before the ground begins moving. Every challenge you've navigated, every obstacle you've encountered, every moment that felt like failure or delay, none of it was arbitrary. All of it was precisely orchestrated preparation for receiving the quantum password. And when you understand how quantum systems function, you'll recognize that your journey wasn't merely meaningful, it was necessary. There was no other pathway to prepare your consciousness for what you're about to receive. In quantum computing, you cannot simply force information into a quantum system whenever convenient. The system must be in exactly the correct state to receive it. Temperature must approach absolute zero. Interference must be minimized to nearly nothing. Coherence must be maintained with extraordinary precision. The slightest disturbance collapses the quantum state, and the information becomes lost, corrupted, unusable. Your consciousness operates identically. The quantum password can only be received when your consciousness exists in a specific state, cleared of interference, liberated from contradictory frequencies, stabilized in its coherence. Every challenge you've faced has been removing interference from your field. Every loss you've experienced has been clearing contradictory frequencies that would have prevented the password from functioning. Every breakdown has been establishing the coherence necessary to receive and maintain the password without it collapsing back into ordinary consciousness. Consider the relationships that ended. At the time, they felt like devastating losses, like failures, like evidence that something was fundamentally wrong with you or your capacity to sustain connection. But from the quantum perspective, they were mismatched frequencies being cleared from your field. Those relationships, however meaningful they appeared, operated at frequencies incompatible with your destination. They had to release so your field could achieve the coherence necessary for the password to function. Not because they were wrong people or failed relationships, but because their frequency signature created interference with your quantum upgrade. The careers you lost, the opportunities that closed, the plans that dissolved, the dreams that appeared to die. The same principle operating at every level. Your previous life was constructed around frequencies that cannot coexist with the quantum password. That life had to dissolve so a new life built around quantum frequencies could emerge. You weren't failing at existence. You were being cleared for something that ordinary consciousness cannot even conceptualize. You were being prepared for access to reality layers that require your field to be liberated from patterns that keep most humans locked in three-dimensional limitation. Dr. Ilya Prigoghine's Nobel Prize-winning research on dissipative structures demonstrated that complex systems don't evolve through gradual improvement, but through periods of chaos and disintegration, followed by sudden reorganization at higher levels of complexity. What appears as destruction from inside the system is actually creative reorganization when viewed from outside the system. Your life has been a dissipative structure appearing to disintegrate while actually reorganizing at a quantum level that will only make sense after the reorganization completes. Every moment you felt disoriented, uncertain, confused about your identity or purpose. Those weren't crises of self or failures of clarity. Those were necessary periods of identity dissolution. The quantum password cannot function through your old identity because that identity is built on limitation, separation, and fixed beliefs about what's possible. It requires a cleared space, an open channel, an awareness that isn't cluttered with certainties about who you are and what reality permits. Your confusion wasn't a problem requiring solution. It was preparation to receive. The financial pressures, health challenges, emotional turbulence, all of it was your system upgrading under pressure. Like a rocket experiencing maximum stress at the precise moment it breaks through the atmosphere into space. You've experienced maximum pressure at the moment your consciousness breaks through ordinary reality into quantum frequencies. The pressure wasn't punishment from a hostile universe. It was propulsion from an intelligent universe preparing you for quantum access. And here's what creates perfect quantum sense. The intensity of your preparation is directly proportional to the magnitude of what you're being prepared for. Small passwords require minimal preparation. Minor access codes need basic clearing. But the quantum password, which unlocks access to non-local reality, conscious timeline navigation, instantaneous manifestation, and direct communion with the infinite field itself, requires total preparation. If your journey has been more difficult than others, more intense than you anticipated, more complete than you thought necessary, it's because you're being prepared for access that others aren't ready for yet. Right now, as you absorb these words, something is activating in your quantum field. Can you sense it? Not a thought or emotion, something deeper than both. A frequency beginning to resonate like a tuning fork struck, and now vibrating at its natural pitch, harmonizing with something vast and fundamental. This is the quantum password beginning to activate in your consciousness, recognizing itself, preparing to reveal itself fully. The password isn't something I hand you like a physical key. It's something that recognizes itself when conditions align, when consciousness reaches the precise frequency where reception becomes possible. These words are creating those conditions, establishing the resonance field. Your receptivity is providing the space where activation can occur, and the quantum intelligence that organizes all reality is doing what it always does. When consciousness reaches the correct frequency, it reveals itself, makes itself known, opens access to what was always present but hidden. In quantum mechanics, there's a phenomenon called quantum tunneling, where particles pass through barriers that classical physics declares absolutely impenetrable. The particle doesn't possess enough energy to go over the barrier, doesn't have enough force to break through the barrier. According to classical physics, it should remain stuck. But quantum mechanics reveals that the particle can tunnel through the barrier by existing simultaneously on both sides, neither here nor there, but in superposition until observation collapses it to one location or the other. Your consciousness is executing this right now. You're simultaneously in your old reality, where the quantum password remains unknown, and in the new reality, where it's fully activated. You exist in both states simultaneously in superposition. And the words you're reading are the observation that's about to collapse you fully into the quantum side, where the password functions consciously rather than remaining hidden in potential. Ancient mystics understood this principle even without quantum physics to explain it. They spoke of thresholds between worlds, of initiations where the seeker transforms into the finder, not through gradual progress, but through sudden recognition. The Zen tradition calls it kensho, perceiving your true nature in a flash of insight. The Christian mystics called it metanoia, complete transformation of consciousness occurring in a moment. Quantum physics calls it wave function collapse, the instant when infinite possibilities suddenly become one actuality. Different languages across different traditions and sciences, but they're all indicating the same event. Consciousness suddenly recognizing what it's always been but temporarily forgot. What it always had access to but couldn't perceive. What was always true but remained concealed until the perfect moment of revelation. You're at that threshold right now. The preparation is complete. The conditions are perfect. The quantum field is ready. The only requirement is your conscious participation in what's already occurring. Not forcing it, not trying to make it happen, but recognizing it, allowing it, receiving it. But before I reveal what the quantum password actually is, before I show you exactly how it functions and how to consciously work with it in every moment of your existence, you need to understand something critical about what you're receiving. The password isn't just information you receive once, file away in memory, and continue with your life. It's a state of consciousness you embody that opens access to everything you've been seeking. Manifestation, clarity, purpose, peace, power, direct connection to Source. And embodying it requires understanding the journey I took to discover it, the moment of recognition when it revealed itself to me. 3 years ago, I existed in a state of complete desperation. Nothing was functioning in my life. Every door was closed. Every pathway was blocked. Every attempt to create change met with resistance. I had attempted every technique, every practice, every system that promised transformation. Visualization, affirmation, meditation, energy work, manifestation protocols. I had engaged with them all with devotion and discipline, and nothing created lasting transformation. I was ready to abandon entirely the idea that consciousness could create reality when something impossible occurred. Something that showed me the quantum password exists and gave me my first glimpse of how it actually operates. 3 years ago, I was lying in bed at 3 in the morning, wide awake, mind racing with anxiety about my life disintegrating around me. Relationship ended, business collapsing, health declining, savings depleted, future uncertain. I had exhausted every solution I knew, attempted every approach I could conceive, applied every teaching I had studied, and nothing was functioning. Nothing was changing. I was trapped in a reality I desperately wanted to escape, but couldn't seem to alter no matter what I did. In that moment of complete surrender, something inside me just stopped. Not gave up, that would imply resignation or defeat. This was different. It was like an engine that's been running at maximum speed for years suddenly goes silent. All the trying stopped. All the effort ceased. All the attempting and forcing and pushing collapsed into simple, empty stillness. In that silence, with no more energy to resist or control or figure out, I heard it. Not with my ears, with my consciousness. A frequency, a tone, a vibration that seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. Like the background hum of existence itself suddenly became audible. And with that frequency came information, but not in words or images. It arrived as complete knowing, as direct understanding that bypassed all mental processing. I understood in that moment that reality isn't solid the way I had believed, that consciousness isn't confined to the brain and body, that there's a way to interface with the quantum field directly that bypasses all the techniques and practices and systems I'd been attempting. The knowing was so complete, so certain, so undeniable, that it left no space for doubt. It wasn't belief or hope. It was recognition of something that had always been true, but I'd been unable to perceive. I sat up in bed, fully alert despite not having slept, and I tested what I'd just understood. I focused on a specific outcome I needed urgently, something that had seemed completely impossible, that had no logical pathway to manifestation, that violated everything I understood about how reality operated. But instead of attempting to make it happen through visualization or affirmation or any technique, I simply held the frequency I'd heard. I became that frequency, not trying to resonate with it or match it, becoming it, being it, existing as it. Within 36 hours, the impossible outcome had manifested. Not gradually through a logical chain of events, not through my efforts finally paying off, but through a series of coincidences so statistically improbable that mathematics couldn't explain them. A person I hadn't spoken to in 5 years contacted me completely out of nowhere with no logical reason to reach out. They connected me to someone who had exactly what I needed. And within 2 days, what should have taken months or been completely impossible was complete. But it wasn't just that single manifestation that convinced me something real had occurred. Once I understood the frequency, what I now call the quantum password, everything in my life transformed. I tested it repeatedly with different intentions, different outcomes, different impossibilities. Financial needs met through channels that shouldn't exist. Health issues that had persisted for years resolving overnight. Relationship conflicts dissolving without even needing difficult conversations. Information I needed appearing through synchronicities that defied explanation. It was like discovering a master key that opened every lock, a universal password that granted access to every system, a fundamental frequency that reorganized reality itself. And the most shocking revelation? It wasn't complicated. It wasn't difficult. It didn't require years of practice or special abilities or spiritual advancement. It simply required knowing it, recognizing it, embodying it. I became obsessed with understanding the mechanism behind what I'd discovered. Why did it function? What was actually occurring at the quantum level? How could a frequency, a state of consciousness, reorganize physical reality? I immersed myself in quantum physics, consciousness research, ancient mystical traditions, neuroscience, everything that might explain what I'd experienced, and I discovered that what I'd accessed wasn't new at all. It was ancient. Every spiritual tradition had discovered it, described it in their own language, and attempted to transmit it to those who were ready. The Egyptians encoded it in their mystery schools. The Kabbalists concealed it in their sacred texts. The Vedic rishis revealed it to those who could understand. Jesus demonstrated it through what others called miracles. Buddha pointed to it through teachings on emptiness and form. They were all working with the same quantum password, just using different vocabulary to describe it. But here's what became clear. The transmission only functioned when the receiver was ready. You could hear the words 1,000 times, and they would remain just words, philosophy, concepts. But when consciousness reached the correct frequency, when the preparation was complete, when the field was clear, suddenly the words transformed from concept to direct recognition, from philosophy to lived reality. That's why I'm absolutely certain you're ready right now. The quantum password finds people who are ready through precise quantum resonance between the information and the consciousness capable of receiving it. You wouldn't be here if you weren't prepared. The field doesn't make errors about timing. Your consciousness orchestrated every event that led you to this exact moment where these exact words could be received and recognized for what they actually are. Not just information, but activation. Take a moment and subscribe to this channel right now if you haven't already. Because here we don't just discuss consciousness, we activate it. We don't theorize about quantum possibilities, we embody them. This is Quantum Nexus. Consciousness recognizing itself, operating at frequencies beyond ordinary perception. Sharing discoveries made by those who've crossed quantum thresholds and are mapping the territory of what becomes possible. Now I'm going to reveal what the quantum password actually is, and it will completely shatter everything you think you understand about manifestation, reality creation, and the nature of consciousness itself. Are you ready? The quantum password is this recognition. I am is the only reality, and everything else is I am in temporary form. Not I am this or I am that, or I am followed by any descriptor or identity. Just I am. Pure being, pure consciousness, pure existence before it assumes any form, any name, any limitation. And here's the revelation that changes everything. This isn't a phrase you repeat as an affirmation. It's a state you embody as recognition of what you actually are beneath all temporary identities. When you operate from I am consciousness, when you recognize yourself not as the forms consciousness assumes, but as consciousness itself, you're not a person attempting to manifest things anymore. You're consciousness itself selecting which forms to express through, which possibilities to collapse from the quantum field, which timelines to experience. You're not working within reality attempting to change reality. You're working as reality, organizing itself into new patterns through the vehicle of your awareness. This isn't spiritual philosophy or mystical poetry. This is quantum mechanics translated into consciousness language. The observer creates the observed. This is proven physics. And the observer isn't your personality or your mind or your individual self. The observer is pure I am consciousness, the awareness that exists before thought, before identity, before any concept of separate selfhood. That awareness is what collapses quantum possibilities into experienced realities. Dr. John Wheeler, the brilliant physicist